Good afternoon from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's 5:04 p.m. on the 25th of March 2025 and I've not long gotten home all spruced up from my wonderful hairdresser Kylie, who's just such a wonderful woman, such a wonderful, wonderful light. She takes delight in all my days of my lives type stories, and mind you, I've been telling her those updates every 7 to 8 weeks for 14 years, so she puts up with a lot listening to me gabble on, and then I come on YouTube and gabble on some more, but oh well, it is what it is, people of Earth. What else could I be doing with my time? Making my first billion, making love to a gorgeous man, riding horses wild bareback on the beach. No, I haven't ridden a horse since I sold my horse when I migrated here when I was 23. So maybe not. It'd be a bit painful to ride a horse now after all those years and all the muscular kind of, it'd be take a bit of getting used to, just say. Wouldn't mind going horse riding again though. I do love horses, and riding horses is great fun. Maybe I'll go join one of those treks one day, some horse riding school, and go and do it. Be a bit of fun. But anyway, how did I get onto the subject of horse riding? Oh, talking about having had to sell my horse. Anyway, enough about that. That's ancient history, and it's still a kind of seeping wound because I loved that horse very much and I still miss her to this day. So there is that. Anyway, so I thought I'd continue on now that I'm home, and I've had an early dinner at, probably shouldn't have, it's not going to agree with me, by the gods. But I had an early dinner at Red Rooster. So I've got a glass of water, shouldn't be too many interruptions, and let's continue on with chapter 6, Tales of the Relation of Humans to Animals. Isn't it interesting? I started off talking about my powerful relationship to my horse. We had a very powerful attunement, a kind of telepathy together. Her name was Asphiloth. I named her after a horse in Lord of the Rings. And we were very, very bonded. She was a beautiful animal. Oh, but she could be cheeky sometimes and kind of do mean things to me, like throw her head down while we were cantering, so I'd go flying right over her neck, right over her head, and get kaplunked right down on the ground. She would stand back and curl up one lip and kind of laugh at me. She had a great sense of humour, but she could be just a little bit obnoxious at times, probably mirroring my personality a little bit. Oh, but you know, horses have ways, polite little ways of getting revenge. The other thing she used to do to me was I'd be brushing her long tail, she had a beautiful tail, and she would sort of look backwards and then lift her tail up and fart right in my face. And again would be this like, she was a rascal. Her other trait, which wasn't so funny, and it hurt like hell, was if I was like be brushing, her legs or her shanks, she would look where my feet were positioned, next to which hoof was closest, and lift that leg up and stomp down on my toes with her hoof. For that she'd get told off and a bit of a spank, because that was a bit naughty and very, very painful. But it was just sort of her way of saying, oh well, I'm my own person and I do what I want, whatever. So yes, my feet got stomped on many, many times by that mare. Anyway, Wasn't the first time I've been trodden on by another living creature. Probably won't be the last, but certainly no one as big as a horse though. Well, she wasn't a very big horse. She was really more of a pony. She was only 14.2 hands, so she wasn't very tall. But anyway, she was a very dear friend, and so I tolerated some of her less endearing quirks, as you do with dead friends, because nobody's perfect, am I right? It is what it is, people of Earth. So here we have a picture of what looks like a fox or a wolf sitting beside a woman. I'm presuming it's a woman, and they've got some I don't know what they've got sitting in front of them there. Some kind of object, a pot and a plant, maybe a pot plant or something, or I don't know. Have no idea what that thing in the middle is. But they're kind of holding hands and communing around it some way. Interesting. The poem that's attached to it says, "We know the old command, whales and men are one people, and there are no dead among us, only help willingly with food." Siberian whale hunting song adapted from Yuri dear goddess, Richu, der letzte Schamana, die dear goddess, die Chukshin saga. Oh, my mother would be saying, "Oh, Gott Mensch." But anyway, I've never heard of that word before, so it's a bit of a Chukshin. Sounds like chachkas. Could be something similar too. Anyway, let us continue with the story. Had a lovely day. I found my missing fan had been at Kylie's this whole time. So it's been missing for 8 weeks, and I was just thinking about making another one. Actually thinking about it this morning, and I have to go down to that Elite shop and buy another $10 fan. They're never made very strong, so they break within a day. So I remake them with copper wire and put a little bit of a woolen pompons to cover the wire so I don't cut into my hands while I'm fanning myself. So I upgrade a fan is what I'm saying. And it's not a lot of work, but it's kind of a pain in my ass. So I get to my hairdresser and she said, "Did you leave a fan behind?" I said, "I've been missing a fan, yes, for quite some time." She said, "I found it today. It was hidden under all these magazines. I didn't notice it and just found it recently." I said, "Oh, that's okay. I'm happy I've got it back because it means it's still in good nick, that one, and I don't have to buy another one and upgrade it to my purposes. And although I might actually buy another one anyway and upgrade one anyway, so there's a spare for the next time that one goes missing. But I'm kind of thrilled how it came back to me, you know, like I'm a bit lucky like that. I lose things and somehow it turns up at friends' houses, or when I've lost jewellery at the Brooklyn Standard, invariably it's come back to me. So I'm always very happy about that. I did lose a lovely big metal gypsy type ring though, earring, a couple of weekends ago. I haven't got that back, so I don't know what happened to that. It's probably underneath their seats where I dance. Probably got kicked right underneath, or somebody picked it up and kept it as a trophy. That sometimes happens with my jewellery too. Not often, thankfully, but it can happen. It used to happen at the casino a fair bit. I don't know why they're all so obsessed with me, honestly. I don't do anything except turn up, dance wildly, go home exhausted. It's not worth, you know, obsessing over or collecting trophies of me. Dear goddess. But anyway, I guess it's part of my shamanism is being the oddball in the group. People get a bit fascinated and intrigued, and then they want my mojo. Get your own mojo, build your own mojo up. It's very important. Every soul on planet Earth, man, woman, child, even animals, birds, develop your own charisma and your own mojo. You've all got it. You've all got something about you that is completely unique that no other soul on planet Earth has. So work out what it is and, work on it. Build it up. Build it up, buttercup. It's quite wonderful. I actually really delight when I meet other people that have got their own charge and their own charisma and their own magic about them, and that they've developed it into almost an art form. I love that. I love to see it in others. It's not all about me. We're supposed to boost each other up and find each other's unique talents and abilities and grow them, turn them on and shine bright like little diamonds. So we'll continue with the story. This is kind of the introduction. The myths and fairy tales of all peoples tell us about special relationships between people and animals, mutually helping human and animal friends, love affairs between animals and humans, animal worship as ancestor worship. The ancient hunter tribes' knowledge about the bond between people and animals in ways of a respectful mingling. I like that, clarifying that point quite gently there. Respectful minglings, people of Earth. Nothing sordid or weird violations of boundaries of any other sentient being, because that's just vile beyond belief, is one of the main pillars in the building of the shamanistic science of experience. This respect has not only borne reference to the approach of the animal as a supplier of food, it has mainly to do with the knowledge that mutual relation means there is an exchange in ways of living. Because of the fact that male and female shamans are able to cross the borders of matter, it is possible for them to fathom the spirit of non-human life forms and unite with them. Thus, enriched by understanding and knowledge of the coherence of all life, the shaman is able to accomplish healings in the human world. The helpers from the animal kingdom, often assisting us in fairy tales, refer to the spiritual interrelationship between human and animal and tell us something about the animal spirits of our ancestors, shamans. Most of us have one or more spirit animal helpers in Aboriginal or Indigenous peoples like the Native American peoples. They're called totems, but for white people it's cultural appropriation to refer to them as totems, which I did for a while before I realised it was cultural appropriation. I try to be conscious that, I am a white Jewish New Zealand Australian woman, but so I personally don't see it as cultural appropriation, calling an animal a totem, because I've loved animals all my life and communed with them all my life. But anyway, I've learnt that that is offensive to some Indigenous peoples, so instead I use the phrase spirit animal helper or assistant or guide. Yes, that way no one gets their feathers ruffled and upset, but there's always someone that's going to decide that whatever you do or say is wrong, and they don't like you anyway, so there'll always be someone to pick fault. So at the end of the day, I just follow my own path and say it how it is. But I have one spirit helper, which is a wolf, which is a very strange thing for a white New Zealand, Australian, Jewish, German, Polish, English, Irish, Scottish. I guess you get wolves. You would get wolves in Germany and Poland back in the day, but not so many in Scotland. Oh, maybe they're in Scotland. I'm not sure. But anyway, obviously that wolf ancestor or guide or protector or muse or helper hails back to my Viking heritage, and that's probably where it's coming from. I haven't had the wolf spirit helper all my life. He came in, he or she, I'm not even sure of their gender to be honest. But anyway, that entity came in, I think after the first or second near death by strangulation. And when they first came in, they could be quite terrifying even for me. Anyone cross me, I would literally find myself growling like a wolf. If you ever see me growling like a wolf or gnashing and grinding my teeth, it's actually I'm being kind of possessed or walked in by my wolf protector, and that is not a good time to start a fight with me or proceed fighting with me any further. If I get to the stage where I'm grinding my teeth and growling, be afraid, be very afraid, because I'm not in control of that whole, how can I describe it? That whole soul expression. It's actually my protectors stepped in, and if they step in, they're there because it's about to go very, 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 very bad, very, very dangerous, and they're there to either protect my own self or people in my immediate vicinity or my beloved ones who are close to me and I do need that level of protection. So it is a bit frightening. It is a form of disassociation, I suppose, if you were going to phrase it in psychiatric terms, but not, because it's not just a splitting off of the mind. It's actually a whole other presence comes in and takes control of the situation. And it's hard to explain. Fortunately, not many people have had the misfortune of meeting my wolf spirit, and I don't call upon that energy very often because I can't control it, and it's kind of scares me a little bit too, if truth be known. You've got to, if you're going to deal with spirits that are way, way more powerful and way more ancient, you need to know how to not control them, but work with them in a respectful, honouring, circumspect, wary way, and let them know that you're showing them, you're ceding to their higher powers and wisdom and knowledge too. Because anything arrogant with those kind of entities, any kind of dishonour or disrespect for them, can get you killed basically. Can separate your soul. Your etheric bodies can be disintegrated, and you kind of deserve it too. Calling upon an energy like that and then dishonouring it, not wise. Not wise at all. Anyway, so what was I saying? So other shamans may have other spirit animals. I did have for a while there, I did have my horse would come in from time to time when I was younger, when I first migrated here. But she hasn't been with me for many, many years, probably about 30 years. Other shamans have eagles, ravens, sometimes vultures, owls. Owls can be a common spirit protector or spirit helper. It depends on the individual shaman's background or cultural path, what animals they have come to assist them. Some shamans in South America, for example, will have puma or jaguar spirit protectors. Others will have snakes. Others will have, it can be any animal where you metamorphose spiritually into identification with that animal and the animal's attributes and or abilities. So it's very powerful stuff. I'm pretty sure my only spirit animal now is my wolfen. Like I say, haven't had experience of him or her being in my presence for quite some time, which is neither good nor bad, because I know that if I'm in danger and that presence is required, that they will be there in a nanosecond. You only have to ask respectfully. Anyway, let us continue. The roe deer man. Roe deer man. There once lived a man who had a reputation for being a great hunter that was known far from his village. He was very successful. Oh dear goodness. He was very successful in the hunt because he was almost always hunting and thought only of his prey. But he also only hunted roe, R-O-E, roe deer, no other game. He even dreamed about deer. They felt closer to him than his own friends in the village. Everybody was amazed at that. The great hunter had 2 wives, but only one of them had a child, a son. One day, when he was on the hunt, he was tracking down a roe deer with its young. The track led him to a clearing in the woods. There was neither roe deer nor its young in sight, but he did see a young woman with a small child. "Have you seen a roe deer pass by?" asked the hunter. "No," said the young woman, and the hunter continued his search for the lost quarry. But he did not find any more tracks. So he returned to the young woman at the clearing and said, "The roe deer must have passed here, because the tracks stop here." The young woman laughed at him and said, "Don't bother about the tracks. I've been waiting a long time for you, because I have seen you so often and longed for you. I love you, and if you like, you can come home with me." The hunter wanted to go with her because he just could not resist the strong allure of the young woman. So he had to follow her and the child. While they were walking, he suddenly thought, "It is not right for me to go with her. My wives and my child are waiting for me at home." The woman he was following was able to read his mind. Do not think you are behaving badly when you follow me. You will be my husband, and that will be good for you. She's a bit sure of herself, isn't she, darlings? Reminds me of some thing that's been hanging around lately. But shh. They had been walking for a long time when they arrived in a land with soft, white hills. They entered a cave that went beneath the earth, where there was a big house with many people who looked like people the hunter knew on the earth's surface. They all were dressed in fine deer leather, and they were friendly toward the hunter. The people said, "Now that our daughter has found her man, he will be welcome with us." At night, the hunter lay by his new woman. When he wanted to embrace her, the woman said, "You are my man, you may embrace me, but you may not pour out your semen into me. That is only allowed when it is rutting season. This period is only once a year and lasts a month. In this month, you may also sleep with my sisters." The next morning, the leader of the people asked if he would like to go hunting because they had nothing left to eat. Above all, the leader told him, he should be on the alert not to throw away anything of the catch, but to take everything with him. So the hunter took his bow and went hunting. 2 young roe deer, his wife's brothers, jumped in front of him and showed themselves to the hunter, so he could easily kill them. He shot them, leaving only their manure behind, and brought the game home. The people were very content with him and ate. The bones were laid carefully in a special place. When everyone was done eating, the bones were bundled together, and one man threw the bundle into the river. "We always save the bones," said the leader. The hunter was not aware that he had killed his brothers-in-law. It's terribly hot. I have to put the aircon on just 1 moment. Here we go. Sorry about that. He did not notice they were not there at dinner, but he thought they were on a hunt. Imagine sending your own brethren to be hunted by your new brother-in-law and not telling anyone, then eating them. Ooh, it's a bit weird, isn't it? Try not to think too hard about it, people of Earth. When the man who had thrown the bones into the river returned, the brothers were also back with the hunter's wife. Well, that's okay then. They had been resurrected when their bones had been thrown into the river. That was how the Roe men lived. They killed each other in order to have food to live, and then they were resurrected again. They were able to do this because they carefully assembled all the bones and put them in the water. Remember, this is just a story. Don't try that at home, people of Earth. Just say. Dear Goddess. Anyway, where were we? The hunter lived happily with his new wife and went hunting if there was a need for meat. The young roe deer were always prepared to be killed if needed for the well-being of the herd. That was the reason why the hunter never missed the target. When finally the longed-for rutting season began, the leader changed the hunter into a roebuck. He laid the body of an old roebuck upon the hunter, and that was how he was changed. The hunter was happy as a roebuck and was happy with his wife, but younger bucks came to snatch his wife away from him and took her, much to the hunter's displeasure. On those days, he walked home depressed and withdrew into the house beneath the earth. The leader said to him, "I will make you strong. I will give you big antlers so nobody will dare to take your wife away from you." The next morning, the leader conjured the big antlers upon the hunter's head and gave him the trunk of a young roebuck. That day, the hunter mated with his wife and her sisters and nieces as well. He was very generous with his masculinity, was he not? I guess if you're a deer, it doesn't bother them quite so much. But I'd take a fair bit of umbrage if my man mated with my sisters and my nieces. Ooh, would not be good, people of Earth. But anyway, he fought successfully with many of his rivals. The shaman of the deer people had quite a job of healing the whole bunch of wounded opponents. The hunter was the strongest animal in this rutting season. The hunter's young wife brought a son into the world. After some time, when the boy had grown a little older, the woman said to the hunter, "Our son should get to learn your people as well." So they made preparations to go visit the village of the hunter. Pardon me. First, the woman let large quantities of roe fat, dried meat, and many roe skins shrink into small packs. These were put in their baggage bag. When they needed some food along the way, the hunter just shot one of his kin, threw the bones into the water, and they were living once more. In order to travel faster, the woman The man and the child shape-shifted again into roe deer. Soon they reached the land of the hunter's village. When they were close to the village, the woman told her husband, "You cannot go to your people at once, otherwise you will die. For 8 days you have to prepare yourself and wash with herb juices." That is what the hunter did. As soon as he, his wife and son had become just like other people, they entered the village. Everyone thought he had been dead for long, and his childless wife had remarried. A grand feast was organized in honor of the returned great hunter. The wife took from her baggage a handful of roe fat, which grew to its original quantity, enough for the whole village. The same was done with the meat and the skins. The pans and huts of all the people in the village were filled to the top. There was so much. When the people needed fresh meat, the hunter gave his bow to his son, the one he had with the roe woman. His son always took along his half-brother, the son the hunter had with his man-wife. The roe relatives had themselves killed willingly. The great hunter taught his people how to throw the bones back into the water. Thus the roe deer were brought back to life once more. Oh, I'll have to call her back later. It's my friend calling me. They stayed for a long time. Gee, I'll just hang on, just one moment. I'll just text her. It's just manners to let her know. Right. Multitasking. You've got to laugh. Right, now where were we? They stayed for a long time in the hunter's village. Excuse me. One morning, the roe woman said to the hunter, "It is time to return home to my people." The roe woman invited the hunter's family to come along to get to know her people. They prepared themselves for the journey, and one morning they took off. When they made camp for the night the first time, the hunter took his bow and went hunting. He brought a young roebuck into the camp, and it was prepared for the meal. It was the roe son of the hunter. At night, when they had eaten, the hunter threw the bones of his son into the river, and he regained life. The people had missed him at dinner and wondered where he had gone in the dark. The next evening, the hunter's wife left camp. Again the people wondered where she went. The hunter went out shooting, came back with a roe, and the people ate it. At night, when they all slept, The hunter went to the river to throw his wife's bones in there, so she regained life. When the woman came back with him to the camp, she said to him, "It would be better next time if you kill one of our brothers-in-law. Otherwise, I fear that the people will become suspicious and find out how we hunt the Roe people." So they did from then on. The hunter only killed his roebuck brothers-in-law. When they arrived at the domain of the Roe people, they were all warmly welcomed. After some time, the hunter people decided to return to their village. The Roe boy wanted to accompany them on their way back and to see that they had enough to eat. The Roe boy never returned to the Roe people. He became a great hunter in his father's village and taught the people how they should deal with the roe deer. He told them, "When you kill a roe deer, watch carefully that not a single bone gets lost. Take the bones, throw them into the water, and then the roe will come back to life. If you do it this way, the roe people will trust you, and they will trust your hunters. Then the roe deer will know that they will not really die, but will come back to life." I don't know what that was. That hot, isn't it? Ah, I see. Right, where was I? When you do this the way I have told you, you will always have enough roe deer because they will not really be killed. But if you will not see to it that the bones are being thrown into the water, you will have to burn them. The animals whose bones are burned will really die, but done this way, they will not hold it against you. If people indifferently leave the roe bones lying about, or if the dogs gnaw at them, the roe people will not help you anymore and will avoid your hunters. Then you will be poor and hungry. This is what the roe boy taught the people. But the father of the roe boy never returned again to his people. He stayed as a roe man with the roe people. Tale of North America. The young reindeer. So just a little bit distracted here, I won't be long. Silly mama tea. Silly mama tea. Silly is a word sometimes. But I have fun. I enjoy my life, what's left of it. At nearly 60, dear goddess. Well, anyway. In the times when animals could talk, and there was not so much distinction between humans and animals as there is in our day, there lived in a small hut at the edge of the forest an old couple to whom life had not given a child. The years passed, and both old ones' hair turned the colour of snow, but their desire for a child still was not diminished. Great was their joy when one day the woman realised that despite her old age, she would become a mother. When her time had come, she gave birth to no human child, but a little reindeer. The mother did not complain about that. She just lovingly accepted the little reindeer, and so did her husband. Both loved the little reindeer deep, with his velvet skin, tender little mouth, and big black eyes. The parents soon did not worry at all about the fact that their child looked different from them, and the reindeer did not care about his parents looking completely different from him. He contentedly drank his mother's milk and had a joyful and careless little life. I think she means carefree. There, just say, without care. But the neighbours felt secretly sorry for the mother. It was winter, and so I have to laugh at myself sometimes. It was winter, and the little reindeer loved looking out the window at the falling snowflakes. When the father carried the wood from outside into the hut to dry twice a day, the little reindeer eagerly took in the fresh air that came through the open door. The scents blowing in with the fresh air were filled with secrets to the little reindeer. Soon he found his mother's milk too sweet, but he did not want to hurt her, so he said nothing. But the desire to walk outside and follow those mysterious scents in the fresh air became stronger. The forest is calling me, he confided to his mother one day, when his craving became even more intense. His mother held him close and asked, filled with sadness, "Are you not happy then with us? Should we make your little beddy softer, or should I burn the fire higher so you won't be cold?" What should the little reindeer say to that, without hurting his mom? So he kept silent. But from this day on, he grew leaner, and his fur lost its glow, and small bundles of hair fell out. The mother found those bundles of hair while sweeping the floor of the hut, and she swept them sadly together. The next morning, the woman took the little head of her reindeer son in her hands and told him, my bra's driving me nuts today. I don't like this bra. This one stabs me in various places. I really don't like bras. I told you in a video yesterday how I went without bras for 2 years when I was quite seriously mentally unwell and didn't care about anything anymore. But this particular bra is a very pretty and attractive bra. It's quite a lovely one. But every time I wear it, it's alright for the first part of the day, but by the end of the day, all the wiring in it just fucking stabs me. I hate it. I just want to take it off and fling it off. But not now on YouTube, you understand. But if I walk off, it's because I'm gonna have to get rid of it. Weg damit, as they say in German. Enough is enough. Sometimes it's time to just go, weg, get rid of it. Anyway, I'm tolerating it for now because I'm trying to be professional, you understand. Don't like being in any kind of discomfort. Anyway, where were we? So the mother found those bundles of hair while sweeping the floor of the hut, and she swept them sadly together. The next morning, the woman took the little head of her reindeer son in her hands and told him, Son, you are the sun who kindles the evening of our years, but often one has to free oneself from the loved one, so he may live. So go outside, into the forest that beckons you, but first listen to the good advice from your father. And the father gave him many good hints. Then the son opened wide the door to the outside. Both old ones remained standing there in the doorway for a long time, and their eyes followed their son, who first slowly, then more and more hurriedly walked towards the forest. The life of the elderly parents changed. The father became more and more taciturn. Often, when he went into the forest to chop some wood, he remained in the forest for a long time, much longer than before. One morning he woke up from a bad dream. In his dream he had heard the little reindeer crying. He told his mother what he had dreamed and prepared himself immediately to go into the woods. That night, the woman waited a long time for her husband. She stood on the doorstep of their little home and called him, but he did not return. Night after night, he did not return. He never came back. Many years had passed, during which the old woman lived a solitary life. One evening, when the pale northern lights fell over the hut and the old woman was about to lay another piece of wood on the fireplace, she became dizzy and fell to the floor. The door was pushed open, and along with the cold wind, a huge reindeer came in. Cautiously it dragged itself to the old woman and laid its big head on her body. Arduously the reindeer stretched out beside her and slowly began to tell his story. He told her about the forest that had fed him and had protected him so he could grow strong and big. About the wolves he told her, how they had frightened him. About the northern lights often shining on his antlers, about the trees with their aromatic trunks, about the springtime and his first love, and about his son coming forth from this love. The reindeer's words came slower and slower as it became more difficult for him to speak. When all life force had flown out of the reindeer, the hut was silent for a long time. The mother's hands had become slow and tired of caressing the heavy head lying quietly in her lap. The big eyes of her reindeer son now looked straight forward. But they had stopped looking into this world. As if in a dream, her old hands stroked the velvet fur of her son one more time. Then they also lay still. Tale of the Skolt Sami, Finland. It was not the political straitjacket like that in Siberia which forced the shamans, called Noadi, of the small community of the Sami in northern Europe to go into inner exile. It was the religious system of Christianity. In the 17th and 18th century, the Sami had been flooded by a powerful wave of Lutheran missionaries. The pre-Christian belief of the Sami, their close, natural feeling of unity with the existence of nature beings, their rituals and conception of a land where the souls lived on, was labelled paganism. Only a few orally transmitted stories, from a few orally transmitted stories. Why am I having so much difficulty seeing tonight? It's unusual, isn't it? Must be a bit tired. From a few orally transmitted stories, we can deduce that until the end of the 19th century, the sound of the magic drum was very seldom heard, and then only in secret. Only with the mythical stories and old songs of today's Sami, through the symbols on their magical drums, and original notes from missionaries about shamanism, and quotes about the pagan superstition in lawsuits, was it possible to visualize once again the ritual and role of the shaman, and likewise the worldview of the pre-Christian Sami. Now, more people feel the powers of special places in nature, yesteryear's sources, stones, trees of sacrifice. There is a renewed attention for the spiritual life of the Sami people of today. Although the Sami have no shamans in a traditional sense anymore, something of the work of the Noadi can still be found in the work of today's soothsayer. He heals the sick, finds lost objects or animals, is clairvoyant, and is able to get into a trance. The Sami were and still are an unhomogeneous culture. They speak about 10 different languages and differentiate from each other in many aspects in their spiritual and material cultures. Since the 1950s, they have reorganized themselves and are claiming their rights to their own land, language, and their cultural autonomy, which I think is quite wonderful, by the way. I firmly believe that the old ways, the ancestors, are calling to be brought back into our contemporary modern worldview. I've never liked the violations that Christianity imposed upon Indigenous peoples for the last 2,000 years, by the way. The colonialism and the genocides and the witch burnings and the rampant pedophilia, just a few examples of that. It's not to say that I think that all Christian people who practice that faith are evil or bad people, but by and large the effects of that religion spread across the globe did a great deal of harm to peoples right across this earth. Irreparable harm in some cases, because entire language systems and cultures were lost. And look at the world we have now, the post-COVIDian epoch. It's not good, people of Earth. I doubt that that would have ever happened if everyone in the world had been in touch with their more natural, God-given relationship with nature or the ancestors that love us, or the gods. Again, it was hijacked in a way by the ideology of that religion, in my opinion. Anyway, next story. The bear with the human heart. It was then, and it is still the same story. There was a young girl who was neither beautiful nor rich. In fact, she was ugly and poor. All of her friends had been married for a long time, but she still had no husband. Her parents had long passed over to the land of the ancestors, from where there is no return, so the girl had no one who could give her advice. But far outside the village, there lived a wise herb woman who could speak with the spirits and could do all kinds of magical tricks. The girl approached her and told her about her distress. The old woman listened to the girl's complaints, went back into her hut and consulted with the spirits for a long time. When she came out of the hut, she told the girl, "When tomorrow night the sun begins its journey beyond the lake, follow its rays. The first one you come across will be your man." The girl thanked the wise old woman for her counsel and acted upon it. When the sun was about to vanish behind the lake, the next day the girl walked out of the village, following its rays. Soon she was walking far from her village, all alone, across the ever-darkening tundra. The longer she went, the smaller her hope that the words of the wise old woman still could hold any truth. Here, out in the wasteland, I would rather come across a bear than my man, she thought. But although she was ugly and poor, she had her pride and faced up to her fate. Why not? She cried out loud into the vast dark tundra. I would rather take a bear as my husband than live without a man. Foolish. Be careful what you ask for, people of Earth. She had hardly spoken these words when a bear stood right in front of her. You have called me. You wished me as your husband, he said. Well, here I am. The girl was very much startled to see the effects of her own words, but now they had been spoken and could not be taken back. They were in the world. Thus, she became the bear's wife and lived with him. It did not take long before she gave birth to a son, a bear boy. The little bear thrived beautifully. After just 1 year, he had become a strong, dexterous young bear, going on a hunt with his father. Picking up vibes from my daughter, which is highly unusual. We haven't spoken since 20th of September 2023. She's probably feeling a bit nostalgic because she would know it's nearly my birthday in a few weeks. But anyway, it's unusual. Hope she's okay. Right, where were we? Externally and in his behaviour, he obviously looked like his father, but in one thing he was different. He had the heart of a human. I would have loved being a human like you, he once told his mother. A bear is stronger than a human, my son. Be glad you are a bear. One day when the young bear again was hunting with his dad, they came across 2 hunters. They shot the old bear dead. Even though the young bear could flee, he was so badly wounded that he could only drag himself with great effort to his mother. After she had nursed him back to health, he told her, pardon me, I had dinner at like 4 o'clock and it's still bloody repeating on me. He told her, Mother, you were wrong. The bear is not stronger than man. Ah, I would give anything to be like you, a human. The mother did not know what to say to that, or how she could help him. Then suddenly she thought of the old wise woman. She has helped me. Possibly she can help my son as well. So she went back to her birth village, to the old wise woman. Again, she solicited the old woman for help and waited in front of the hut until the old wise one had ended her talk with the spirits. When the old woman came out of the hut, she told the mother. Thus have the spirits spoken. If you wish your son to become a human, you in turn will have to become a bear. There is no other way. For the well-being of my son, I will do anything, said the mother. My husband was a bear. My son is now a bear. I can be bear too. What should I do to make this happen like you said? She asked the old wise one. Pull out some hairs from your own skull. And I think they mean scalp there. Just saying. Every now and then there's just a few little tiny errors because the audio's German. But I've only picked up a couple of errors, so it's not a criticism. But yeah, that should read scalp. And pull out some hairs from your son's bare fur. When he is asleep, lay some of your hair under his pillow, and you will sleep upon his hairs. The next morning you will wake up in a bear's body, and your son will wake up in human form. The mother thanked her and returned home to her son. When he slept, she did what the old woman had advised. What has happened to me? The son exclaimed in wonder when he woke up that morning and saw himself in human form. Mother, look, I have become a human. Yes, my son, you have become a human like you always wanted. You will now stay human forever. Now go to the human world, to the ones your heart felt always attracted to for so long. But mother, why do you say I have to go? We will go together because we belong together, no? He asked as he turned in astonishment to his mother. Only then did he notice her metamorphosis. Mother! He exclaimed in shock. What happened to you? I am what you see before you, a bear. So you might become human. I had to become a bear. But now go, my son, for our paths do part here. No, you are more dear to me than all people on earth. No, mother, our paths do not part here, as long as your good heart is beating. So it happened. The now human son remained in the cave with his bear mother until her heart stopped beating. Only then did he go to the people. Inuit myth. I liked that one. It's a lovely story. Fairy tale of the toad. There once was a small child who every afternoon got a saucer with milk and cubes of white bread, which he took into the garden. But as he started eating, a toad always crawled out of a crack in the wall, stuck her little head into the milk, and ate along with him. The child liked this, and when he sat there with his little saucer, and the toad did not appear immediately, he called her. Toady, Toady, please come quick. Come and join me, little chick. To dig out your cubies bread, you have to drink your milk ahead. Then the toad would come out quickly and enjoy her meal. She also showed her gratitude by bringing the child all kinds of nice things: shining stones, pearls, and golden toys from her secret treasure. But the toad only drank the milk and left the bread alone. Then one time the child took its spoon and hit the toad softly on the head and said, "Young lady, eat also the cubies." The mother, who was in the kitchen, heard that the child was talking with someone, and when she saw that he hit a toad with a spoon, she came out with a piece of wood and killed the poor animal. From that moment on, something changed inside the kid. As long as the toad had eaten with him, he grew strong, but now he lost his ruddy red face and became skinny. It did not take long before the night came, when the bird of death began screaming, and the robin collected branches and leaves for a wreath of mourning, and soon the child lay on the bier. Fairy Tale of the Brothers Grimm collection, Germany. The heart of the reindeer. Long ago, a bad famine roamed through the land under the northern lights. Then two men, an old and a young one, decided to try their luck on a hunt for game, although everybody advised against it. But they were out of luck. They did not come across any game, no matter how many days they were on the trail. Then they arrived at a hut that had been frequented by other hunters. Both hunters had no food left, so there was nothing to do but hang a pot of water above the fire. When it came to a boil, the older man stood up and went out of the hut into the darkness. He will get some moss to cook up, the younger man thought. When the old man came back into the cabin, he had in his hand the fresh heart of a reindeer, which he placed into the boiling water. It's interesting, I was picking up the energy before of my daughter, and I was half right, not quite right, but close enough, because my half-sister Heidi just put a little like on one of my photos on Instagram. So half right is pretty good, but not quite good enough, because it did feel like my daughter's energy. But anyway, there's my she's not actually related to me by blood, but she's kin, she's my half-sister's half-sister. They share the same father. Popping in, I haven't seen her active on my Instagram for a few weeks, so see, it's a lovely surprise. And she has probably been thinking of me because her sister, her biologically half-sister, our mutual half-sister, Angela and I share the same mother, but they share the same father, and different mothers. My half-sister turned 75 on the 13th of April, and I turned 60 on the 12th of April, and Heidi's kind of stuck in the middle, thinking about all of us getting older, no doubt. But I'm not in contact with my elder sister, so there is that. Dead sisters don't cry, by the way. I'm doing all right for a dead sister. Very much alive, babies. In fact, since she declared me dead in, when was it? It was around about July 2012. She did me a favour, actually, because I actually wrote Dead Sisters Don't Cry, and slowly, very slowly and inexorably and painfully blew life back into myself, and yes, reclaimed myself from those monstrosities of my childhood. Not Heidi. Heidi was never part of that. Heidi's a lovely, deeply religious Christian woman, actually. But Heidi has only ever been kind to me, which is why I'm delighted to see that she, put a little like on one of my silly little Instagram photos. But anyway, where was I? Then they arrived at a hut that had been frequented by other hunters. Both hunters had no food left. Did I read that already? I read that part already. Yes, I read that part where it said he will get some moss to cook up, the younger man thought. Right, here we are, back in the room. When the old man came back into the cabin, he had in his hand the fresh heart of a reindeer, which he placed into the boiling water. We surely must have had the heart in his backpack as a supply. He surely must have had the heart in his backpack as a supply, thought the young one. They ate plenty of the reindeer heart and went to sleep. In the morning, when they left the hut, they saw a little way from them a giant male reindeer. Quickly, the young hunter took his bow and shot the reindeer. Both hunters began skinning the animal. When the skin had been removed, the younger hunter was about to disembowel the reindeer when suddenly he stopped in awe. The heart was missing. He turned to the older man and asked, "Where did the heart go?" The old one answered quietly, "What do you think you ate last night?" This made the younger man afraid of his companion, so he abandoned the reindeer, left the old man alone, and went on his own way. Tale from the Sami, Finland. Right, I think we'll stop there. We're up to chapter 7. And how long is chapter 7? Not all that long, so I'll probably read 7 and 8 tomorrow, maybe. How long was chapter 6? We've just read. Oh, it's about the same amount of pages, right? So we're looking at about an hour and a half tomorrow with chapter 7 as well. Right, that gives me a good gauge. Alright, so tomorrow chapter 7 and the next day chapter 8, and on we go and on we go in the space-time continuum, flowing beautifully and in harmonic resonance with all that is, was and ever shall be, and my wonderful YouTube audience that tolerates my weird meanderings and strange segues and personal life histories and other interesting interludes. So we'll be back tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow for as long as my laptop keeps cooperating with me, I guess, because I can't make videos on my iPhone anymore because I can't resolve my storage issues. I've tried everything and it's always full no matter what I do. Anyway, I'm due for a new phone in July and I'll think very carefully whether I replace it then because I don't want any more debt. But I may have to, because if the laptop dies, I'll need to make videos on my iPhone, and with a new phone, should be able to do that. So I'll think about it. Mama T will think about it. Whatever the gods provide in abundance, with harm to none and competition from none. By the benevolence of the Holy One in all manifestations, it will be provided to me, and in the near future, hopefully. And we'll see. We will wait patiently. In the meantime, I'm grateful for having been able to use this laptop for as long as I've been able to use it. It's been about 5 years now, I think, something like that. Anyway, I've enjoyed those stories that I shared with you today. I hope you enjoyed them, and I shall see you tomorrow. Bye for now, people of planet Earth, and all sentient beings, and all interdimensional entities, and all ancestors that love us. Have a beautiful evening, or wherever you are in your space-time continuum. Have a beautiful moment in your current iteration of your existence. Bye to all our relations.